Hey there, welcome to Pam's Artsy Corner. In today's video, we are going to draw a sunflower. I've had many students and lots of folks online ask how to do this. So I will take you step by step from the parts of that sunflower and how to draw those to putting it all together and building your sunflower up from something simple to something a little more complicated, a little more advanced, and utilizing tools and techniques that you can use in other types of drawing. So I hope you stick around and wait and see what we can draw together in Pam's Artsy Corner. I've drawn and painted many sunflowers in my time as an artist. I guess it would help that sunflowers are my favorite flowers, so I never run out of opportunities to draw them or paint them. You can do this too. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Okay, to make a sunflower, there are some simple steps or parts of the flower that you need to know how to draw. So I will add them over here. You need a circle. Your circle does not have to be perfect. You need to know how to make a petal. And a petal would be, a sunflower petal could be either very symmetrical, the same on one side as on the other, and it's okay like that. Or you can make your petals look a little pointier on one end, a little fatter at the other, and that's fine as well. It just depends on how you want your flower petals to look. You also have to know how to make a leaf, and a leaf is going to be fatter at the bottom and pointier at the top, fatter at the bottom and pointier at the top. And of course you're going to have to know how to make a stem. Okay, so here are a few steps on how to make a sunflower. Let's put all these items together. So we're going to take our circle, and it just depends on which way the flower is turning, facing the sun. You know that sunflowers follow the sun in the sky. So you can make your circle look more like an oval if the sun is coming down right here. Let me take your basic light source right there. So it would be facing the sun right here. And let's start adding some petals. We need some flower petals for a sunflower. So a basic sunflower, I'm going to make my petals a little pointier at one end. And you can have variety. Not all of them have to look exactly the same. Remember that a flower is something that would be in nature. So in nature you have things like wind. You have animals moving through plants, birds flying overhead. So things like that would affect how your petals might look. I'm not saying that you have to draw Attack of the Crows over the sunflower or anything like that, but it would definitely affect how your petals look. But the most important thing here is to have fun. Okay, so it kind of looks like these are kind of looking like teardrops, and you can see that some are fatter. Would you stop? Sorry. Overly affectionate dogs at my feet. Okay, so some look a little fatter and some are a bit smaller. Next part, you're going to add a stem. So we've got a circle, check, petals, check. Oh, we can't put the leaves on yet because we need a stem. So if I were drawing a stem, that would be reaching down from this flower. I'm going to visualize where it would be. Very likely not underneath it directly, but something like that, right? Okay, now I'm going to take my leaves. Let me go look at my leaves. Now they're going to be smaller at the top than they are at the bottom. So smaller means like new growth. Let's have some fat at the bottom, fat leaves at the bottom, and pointier tips. fat at the bottom, pointier tip. Some fat at the bottom, pointier tip. Okay, so there is your basic looking sunflower. We have all the items we need there. We've got our circle, which is the center of the flower. You've got your petals in different shapes. You've got leaves, and now you have a stem. Now, basic sunflower. How do you make this look a little more advanced? Where there's some details that you can add here. For example, we can indicate the center part of your flower. I like to do this by making the letter C. And by doing that, I'm indicating that there's a middle part right here. Generally, if I'm painting a sunflower, this part would be darker. I've painted the center part black, a dark brown, but there's been some times where it's a younger sunflower and it's not quite ripe yet. So I've seen some that have green in the middle. So in this instance, I'm going to leave it, I'm going to make it a little darker. And I'm going to indicate seeds by using dots. And since I have a nice inky pen with a nice tip, it's easier to see the dots. Okay? I can take this a little step further. Generally, there's another layer of seeds on the outside of the C. So what I'm going to do here is make little lines. And these little lines are going to indicate some growth, the direction of the seeds growing. So these do not have to be perfect. I'm going in a circle. It doesn't have to be so perfect looking. You can make them, place them in random places. And this gives some variety from the circles in the center. The dots in the center. Okay. Now, I want to indicate that this is a little, a different depth. So I can do that in a couple of ways. I can make this line a little darker, or I can make the dots closer to this line, a little closer together, and by doing so, indicate some shading. Okay, so the closer the dots are together, the darker it appears. And it's just a matter of patience. Okay. I can also switch things up in the center by doing the same thing, by darkening the edge of the center part of my flower. And I can just take my lines, my little lines, and add more along one side. And generally that would be closer to the C. And this way there's the appearance that the sun is hitting this top part of my flower. Okay, so there's a nice appearance of shadow. Another way I can jazz up my sunflower is to add some overlays to my flower petals. And all I'm doing is adding what would look like the flower petal is bending in on itself. So I'm adding that along the edge. Do I have to put this on everyone? No. Okay, continuing with the overlay. And if I were adding color to this part, this would be a lot more interesting. I could add some darker shades here in the middle. I can take this overlay all the way to the end right there, as if there were a strong breeze. I can do the same on the leaves as well. Maybe not on all of them. Okay, I'm gonna add a little more detail here by adding some lines in the center, not a great many, but I'm going to show that there's some shadow here, that it would be a darker color. And as I said, if you were painting this, then this would be a darker shade of yellow or a darker shade of orange. It just depends on the color that you would make your sunflower. Okay. So there's some shading, but it still looks like there's it's a bit sparse with my petals. So what I can do is add more. I can add more, and I can go directly behind the others and add another layer of petals. And this would just be the back row. Generally, sunflowers do have a couple of rows of petals on them. Do they have to be perfectly aligned with what they have in front? No. No, they don't. Okay. And so since that would be in the background and I have other petals in the foreground, the background layers would be a little darker. So in between those petals, I'm going to make a little darker. I'm going to add some dots or lines to show a shadow between the petals. And that would be close to the base, the center of the flower. Okay. And I also have this part right here where you could still see there would be a shadow. I can add short lines on one side, and since the light source is coming this way, where would there be shadow? Now try not to make your lines too long or it would look like they're fuzzy. Your sunflower needs a shave. If you happen to pick up a pack of drawing pens, drawing markers, tips like this, the finer the tip, this would be the best place to use them. Fine tip allows for more details. Okay, so by adding that dark in between, the shadow there, it makes the other parts of the petals pop. Okay, I'm going to look at the stem now, and my stem, towards the top, it would appear darker because it would be covered with petals. So I can add a bit of shadow with some dots, and I can continue. Of course, there would be more a closer collection of the dots at the top of the stem, but I can take that line all the way down. And I can also add some variety to my leaves. So here in the center is generally where they're darker. I can do this with lines. And if this were being covered, if this leaf were being covered by a petal, I can add some lines right here to indicate a shadow. Also right here. And here as well. My dog is snoring. And close to the base of my leaf stem, I can thicken that up a little bit. Okay, so there you have it. We went from a very simple sunflower and we added a bit more complexity to it. And this is just with drawing. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you continue to practice drawing your sunflowers and any other items that you are interested in. And I hope you have a great time making art. Take care. Bye-bye. I can draw what? Peekaboo.